Hey readers, I hope you're doing well. My name is Juan and today I'm here to talk about reading and about how we read, how I read, how you read, how many books we read. Is there such a thing as reading too many books? Is there such a thing about reading too much? Is this something I should worry about? Why am I thinking about it? And what are my thoughts about it? And I would love to hear from you, because I'm sure you have thoughts about this too. I went on Twitter the other day and I tweeted just that, something along the lines of, sometimes I think I read too much. Some people replied to that tweet. To my surprise, I wasn't expecting that, and it was just a thought that came through my mind, and I just thought it'd be a nice tweet, something quite inconsequential. But a few people replied and said no, or there is no way, or there is no such a thing, or never. So everyone was against this general idea, and I thought, okay, well, maybe I should explain more what I mean and what I have been thinking. I don't know if you're on Goodreads or not. It's relevant for this, but Goodreads is a social network where you can talk about books. Users post about the books they're reading or the books they want to read, and also you can write reviews or you can give star ratings to the books you read, etc., etc. And you can interact with other people and you can message them, that kind of thing. Well, they have something called the reading challenge. It comes out every year. You can set your own reading challenge for the year and you can see what your friends are doing if they're also taking part in reading challenge. You set out a number of specific books that you want to read that year. Just the number, like 50, 20, 10, however, you know, as many as you like, as few as you like. And then you can see your progress throughout the year. And also you can edit them, so you can always add more books to your challenge. You can change your challenge, make it more challenging or less challenging. So I was looking at this, and for this year, and today is July the 29th as I'm shooting this, and if everything goes fine, I should publish this today on July the 29th, 2022. So far this year, okay, I have read 57 books. 57 books. And I had set my reading challenge to 50 books. So I've already read more than 7 books than I had thought I would in the whole year, okay? And we're not quite in August yet. So that means that I have attained 114% of my reading challenge so far, and I'm 29 books ahead of schedule. Let's go back to the last few years, ever since I've been doing this challenge. So for 2021, my goal was 50 books, and I read 95 books. 2020, my goal was 80 books, and I read 92 books. The year before was even worse, or even better, depending on how you look at this. I set a goal of 40 books to read in 2019, but I actually finished reading 125 books. So I achieved a 313% of my reading challenge. 2018, my goal was 30 books, the goal I set for myself, but I read 61 books, so more than double. And for 2017, I set a goal of 20 and I read 36. You can see how from 2018, I started reading more books, and I think it is not a coincidence that I started this channel in 2018. There's a positive side to this. You can say that like a positive way of interpreting this, right? You can say that I started my channel in 2018 and this channel has motivated me to read more. That would be a good thing, motivation for reading, because now, reading is not just a solitary activity. I can share what I read and my thoughts on what I read with other readers from around the world, right? And that keeps me motivated to read. We can give it a negative reading and say, well, okay, maybe I feel the pressure to read more because I have to produce content constantly for my channel. Even that second thought could be positive. It depends on what slant you give to it. But I've consistently been reading more and more. 2019 was kind of crazy. But since then, I seem to have gone for around 90 books. I don't think that's bad. I think, considering the amount of time that I devote to reading, that's quite reasonable, okay? And reading doesn't stop me from doing other things or anything like that. It doesn't have a negative impact in my life, it has a positive impact. Then of course, some of these books are novellas, some of them are plays. If you just look at the specific books, it's not like I read 95 Russian classics or huge Victorian novels or anything like that. You have to go and look at these specific books, and perhaps I'll do that on another video. You can let me know what you think about these numbers and how they compare to your numbers if you're in Goodreads, or if you somehow keep a record, keep track of how many books you read. I know some people keep track of how many pages they read. I think that's kind of fairer in a way, but then again, we go into the discussion of fonts, but anyway. But reading 57 books in just 7 months seems a little bit too much for me. I think if I look back on the books that I've read this year, I could probably tell you what each one of them is about, and I probably have memories of reading them. That's a good thing. That, to me, means that I'm not reading too much. I think the last time that happened, when I looked back and I just didn't remember some of the books and didn't even have like a vivid memory of that reading experience, was in 2019 when I read 125 books. That was my first full year here on YouTube talking about books. So I think that was kind of dangerous, but I think I reined it in, and the last 2-3 years it's been fine. So I'm not worried about that. What would my reading life be if I read fewer books? How would reading fewer books impact my reading positively, which is the only thing I'm really interested about. I don't want to take time away from reading and devote it to other things. That's not what this is about. But I want my reading to be better and better, more productive, more enjoyable. So I guess sometimes I feel, and I've been feeling this recently, that sometimes I would like to slow down a bit. I don't think I read very fast. I just devote a lot of time to reading every day and most weeks. But sometimes I feel like if I slow down my pace and took a lot of notes, perhaps wrote my thoughts on every chapter or every book, or every so often, if I came upon a paragraph that particularly spoke to me, if I stopped and reread it, and maybe read it a few times, and maybe wrote my thoughts on it, maybe if I stopped reading right there and then and just kind of took time to reflect on what I had just read. Maybe if I took time between books, what I'd like to do is, as soon as I finish a book, I immediately start the next book, because I usually read one book at a time. Not always, but pretty much. So I feel like if I don't start the next book right away, I'm going to lose my habit of reading, and I'm just going to start watching TV or just stare at the ceiling, and that's not good. So what is your reading experience like? Do you think you read too many books? Do you think you read the right amount of books? Does that bother you? But more importantly, I love to hear from people's reading experiences. Do you take a lot of notes? Do you highlight? Do you read more than one book at the time? Do you start the next book right away, or do you take time between books to think about what you have read and perhaps reflect on what you want to read next? Because I'm sure if you do that, you read fewer books than me, but you're probably getting more out of them than I am. See you in my next video.